I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey and this is round 3 of the 2026 World Team Carcassonne Online Championship, where 40 countries are competing for the title of the world's strongest Carcassonne nation. Today we have 2 matches to behold in this late night hour for Europeans like myself. The South American derby between last year's runner-up Team Chile with the 750 ELO point rated Claudio Jorquera against Team Colombia with the slightly lower rated but nonetheless strong Sergio Antolines with the screen name Dremcad as the team's captain and forerunner. And an hour later, Team Hong Kong against Team Mexico will be competing for what's most likely is going to be a playoff spot. We're starting in about a minute. Just wanted to preview the tournament situation real quick for the South American derby. Chile has not had a great start as they unexpectedly lost to Brazil despite being higher rated, and now really they absolutely have to win Colombia in order to qualify for the playoffs. Colombia still can technically afford a loss because they have only played 1 match so far, because they skipped week 2. If I remember correctly. But now if Colombia wins, they're going to be on 2 out of 2, and they're quite likely to become one of the top 2 teams or top 3 teams that qualify for the playoffs. So again, since we are in the 3rd of the 5 rounds of the group stage, the significance of each match increases. Now for the first encounter, Chile versus Colombia, will be focusing on the highest rated player of Chile at the moment, Claudio Jorquera, because they're playing against a Colombian superstar, so one of the 2 Carcassonne brothers. Ex-tour is Esteban Rojas, not to be confused with Thomas Rojas, who's also playing here on table 3 against Tito Arce. Chile again seem to be exceptionally high rated, so they should be the favorite in this match, but you never know. You never know what Colombia is going to show. So away we go. Claudio, of course, has the higher rating at the moment with 727, but I believe that Esteban has the higher peak rating overall with over 800 achieved at some point. Anyway, so X-Tour is the starting player with the red meeples. Claudio's playing green. 2 quick cities for red already gave him an 8-point lead, but the first monastery of the game belongs to Claudio, and a little city cap might enable him catching up on the scoreboard. Esteban's now debating whether to take a 3-point road over here or to equalize the city. The latter would be the more common move, and this is a bit unusual. He goes for the farm. How very interesting. I know that South American players tend to drop those early farmers, but this one appears to be a little bit extra and quite closed, and could really bite Esteban somewhere later. But Esteban is not only interested in the farmer, he also uses this move to create a blocking platform from here, and he's thinking something like this, and maybe blocking this here green meeple. In the opening, it is a bit unlikely to happen because there's still many tiles remaining that fit into the square, but Claudio does not seem to draw a tile like this just yet. All right, so red is building up already a sizable city here on the left, also inadvertently, well, actually quite advertently, breaking this here square, which could be a road which goes through through green's city. So a little sneaky disruption for the future. Green covers up his city from invasions, and look at Claudio. Claudio spends a tile which could have gone over here or here just to create an invasion platform against the city. It's that important. And Esteban now decides to start a monastery in a rather unusual spot. The standard move would be to go over here to equalize Green's monastery. Now the rationale that Esteban has with this move is that it gives a bunch of green squares for the development of this here farmer, and it also controls this here meeple. But the problem with this is that it allows stacking opportunities either here or here for green. So stacking is when you build adjacent monasteries, and it's a powerful scoring machine because these monasteries have shared squares, and when you place a tile over here, this tile scores both for one monastery and then for the other. There is also a spot for a third monastery, and it is quite possible to draw that tile, so red would likely need to do something about these two squares. Overall, this position starts looking quite good for green. Green successfully invades red's city at the top, prevents him from being easily finished. However, there's still two splitter tiles that can separate said cities, and red would finish the city for 18 points, if I'm not mistaken. I am mistaken. It would be only 14, but still a solid chunk of points. And Claudio can, of course, go over here, but this move is still double-edged because you see, as soon as you go over here, it now exposes not one but two platforms for either side to reclaim that city and to win this city outright with 2 against 1 meeples. Reluctantly, though, Claudio makes this move just because, like, eventually needs something here to connect. Neither side seems to draw an appropriate city tile for invasion. It's really just a race. What's happening here? And finally, after such wonderful play by Claudio, we see the first real strategic mistake of the game. This here move, whilst it looks nice, yes, it scores 3 points for a road, yes, it also adds a point to the monastery, and yes, it also starts creating inconveniences against the city. I maintain that this move is actually a rather heavy mistake. The main problem with this move is that it expands the farm of red just enormously. Look at how many green squares red's farmer now has. And red has the meeple majority probably for the rest of the game, or at least for long parts of the game. So a red will likely remain unchallenged on the farm, and will have plenty of opportunities to develop, like finishing here. Ooh. Oh, let's look at what Claudio does. This is going to be so interesting. So Claudio can do one of two things, right? So he successfully covered up this here square, and I was going to say that this here move is not great because it's actually created a vulnerability for here, right? It created a vulnerability so that these monasteries could be blocked in the future. And Claudio did get something. Claudio did get a tile that would fit into the square, but instead he chose to use this tile over here to block 2 meeples of red, which is actually quite fascinating. Green's meeple here still has an opportunity to get recovered. There's 1 tile that goes into this square. So Claudio at least temporarily kind of got away with what he was doing. But still, the meeple shortage, of course, is a problem. So for example, now a move that Claudio would have liked to play if he had more meeples was to maybe to go over here and set up a 6 or an 8 point city. He can't really do that. He's now need to set up a different city over here, trying to get one of the 2 triangle tiles, one of the splitter tiles, so 3 tiles that fit into this square, 88% chance to get them eventually in the future. Esteban probably wants to connect on the left over here. There aren't that many tiles available to do this, and whenever there's a configuration of like one player trying to join from one side and the other one from the other side, whoever manages to join first actually gets quite a solid advantage here, because now what red can do, red can now kind of threaten placing something in this square and trying to now block this connection. This, of course, is not going to happen because immediately a triangle tile is drawn by green as well. Green probably just going to take 3 quick points. There's no need to attack this city yet with his last meeple, just a little bit earlier to be risking like this. A splitter tile for Xtor is excellent for them. They keep scoring those quick points and scoring those quick points. They're doing absolutely wonderful. Now only 2 tiles remaining that fit into this square, 2 triangles, 75% chance for meeple recovery for Claudio. Claudio is trying to set up an even master city over here, probably looking to score 2 points, might already consider going in desperation mode and invading the city over here. Again, I think it's not quite mandated, and Claudio agrees. He just scores 2 points. Esteban with a monastery tile. He could consider going over here for a 5-point monastery. And honestly, with 27 tiles remaining, that's quite a lot. I would do exactly that. Instead, he decides that he doesn't really need to score. He just needs to maintain the meeples to mitigate any threats that his opponent may have. Maybe he decides that he needs to preserve a meeple for this here city invasion. Maybe he decides that he needs to preserve a meeple to ensure continued majority on this field. Claudio gets a tile for the city, continues his city, renews the threat of covering the city with a city cap. Esteban can either go here and try to limit the possibilities of tiles that go into the square, but instead he starts a 4-point road and creates an opportunity to invade the city. And look at this, the tides have turned, the tables have turned. Is this the same expression? I don't exactly know. Even though Claudio is behind on the scoreboard, his winning probability is actually greater than that of his opponent because he has covered up his city, and there are 2 critical tiles that fit into the square, and it's a 75% chance to not only finish this monastery, but to also finish this city for 22 points and then some. 28 points. Yeah, it's something like that. Exceptionally high scoring city. Claudio probably looking to just get the points over here and really just wait for one of his critical tiles. I don't think that the farm of Xtor is going to be that significant. I mean, it's going to be 12 points eventually. It's touching 3 completed cities. Here's a 4th completed city, of course, maybe a 5th, a 6th. But I doubt that this farm will be sufficient for Xtor to do anything about the outcome of this game. Hi, Edgar Townsend. My voice is fine. It's just late and I'm trying to make a proper late night stream. Last week, unfortunately, I was not able to stream because I succumbed to a cold and unfortunately lost my voice temporarily. Now my voice should be fine. The only reason I'm speaking softly is just the time of day, or rather the time of night here in Europe. Hi, Nicholas, who's suggesting attacking the top city. Instead, what Esteban does is actually quite unusual. Yeah, it's really, really unusual. So what Esteban does, Esteban just kind of dumps this tile over here and prevents this city from being attacked at all. And also what Esteban does, he draws both of the triangle tiles that would have fit into the square. So that is kind of unfortunate. That is heavily unfortunate, of course, for the Chilean player. And now Extor also gets extra 7 points from the farm, 8 points actually, 1 for the monastery, 4 for the city, and 3 for the fields, of course. But look at this, Claudio now gets the last tile that fits in this square and gets a meeple back, and Claudio now gonna have the meeple majority. I was gonna say for the rest of the game, but not so fast, because Esteban now gonna go over here and finish this little road, which I think is quite likely. Hi, Melvin. I am moving quite a lot. It's too long to explain. My background is a little bit of a mess, so I am not going to use a camera for the next couple of weeks. I do plan, however, resume streaming with a camera soon enough. Definitely by the end of this championship. So 9 points ahead is Extor, and we can see that Claudio is attacking the field multiple times here and here. Extor is also attacking the field as well. And so eventually the field is going to be equalized, probably. Both sides are going to score 18 points for 6 completed cities which are positioned on this field. Again, let me just circle the 2 green meeples which are trying to enter, and 2 red meeples which are already in the field. And Extor is ahead 9 points, and both sides have this here same monastery, which cancel each other out. However, Claudio has some good points here. Claudio has 7 points for this monastery and 11 points for this here city, so that's 18. And Claudio can absolutely win this if Esteban just does not manage to get a sufficient number of points for his last meeple. And if Claudio successfully connects to the field, then Claudio could still win this by a couple of points. So this is his plan. Claudio's game is also contingent on drawing the last road monastery tile, a tile like this, right? The reason why he needs to draw a road monastery tile is that if he doesn't do so, Extor can take the road monastery and score 4 points over here, and then Extor can take another road tile and score 4 more points for this here road, and then I think Extor would be able to win by a couple of points or something. Extor is having himself a city cap. Not really sure what to do with this. I think a natural move is maybe to go over here, try to set up a platform to block this here square, to not let this green guy connect to the main field, and at the same time also just drop a city cap up in the air, just trying to get additional points. Now a city cap is dropped indeed, but it is dropped in a different place. Maybe the plan of Extor is not to block the field connection, but simply to outscore his opponent. And I think I see the idea. Extor is going to try score something for the city cap, although I doubt that it's going to be possible once a city cap has been drawn by Claudio. This move, by the way, is a defensive move, so this makes sure that there's still a straight line that fits into the square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, there's still one straight line remaining in the deck that goes here. And Claudio has double-checked his calculations. So one more straight line. And one crossroads like this, I believe, also fits there. So 2 possible tiles. These are actually some really good odds. Almost guaranteed connection. And X-Tour can do something quite interesting here. I mean, ideally, so I was going to say what X-Tour's plan was maybe to score points for the city cap, getting 4. This would create a little 6-point field for 6 points. And then X-Tour could go here, drop a farmer for 6. That would be a total 10 points scored. And I think this would put him just over the edge. He would win by 3 or 4 points or something. Now, if he goes here for the farmer, and this very well may be the correct move, then he's going to not necessarily not necessarily win this game. Yeah, so X-Tour really is not interested in attacking the field again. His main idea is to try and simply score a little bit. And he goes for 5-point road. I have doubts if that is going to be enough, but maybe his main idea... Oh wait, never mind, sorry about guys. I was talking about the Road Monastery earlier, right? And both monasteries are already on the board. This is something that I had overlooked. And this means that X-Tour really doesn't have that many winning possibilities. I mean, he's going to probably get a crossroad tile, because there's still 2 of those. There's this crossroads, and there's so there's the triple crossroads remaining and the quadruple crossroads remaining in the deck. And Claudio connects to the field. X-Tour gets the quadruple crossroads, and this probably is the win. This is likely the win to X-Tour, because he gets a meeple back. Well, first of all, not only does he get a meeple back, he also denies a meeple. He also denies Claudio this here field entry, so the field is not even equal. But even if the field were equal, even if Claudio were to get the last road tile and go over here, which is what he wanted to do, I believe that with this here tile, X-Tour could have scored 4 points for this here city, and this would have been just enough. So 6 points for this here road, plus 4 points for this here city would be 10 points for X-Tour. So we can see, of course, that the difference is now huge. It is 18 points, but imagine if Claudio had gotten the tile. If he had gotten this tile to connect to the field, he would have gotten himself 18 points for this field instead of 3, so he would have gotten himself 15 more points, and therefore he would have still lost this game by 2 points. Now X-Tour would not have scored this 5-point road. Instead he would have scored this 4-point city, so Claudio would have had 15 more, so Claudio would have had 79, X-Tour would have had 1 less, X-Tour would have had 81, so X-Tour guaranteed himself the victory. So basically he calculated that all he needed to do was not fight for the field and just try to make at least one feature which scores him points and gives a meeple back. He was successful in that. Excellent endgame calculation for the Colombian. And since it is a best of 3 series, as all matches in this championship are, we're going straight to the second one, are we? Oh yes, we are. High Glavier. Okay, so the players have started. Game 2. Esteban is going to be the starting player again and already scoring some points. Some good tiles for Esteban. First of all, picking up this here city. Claudio picking up the second city and the first road. Goes to Extor, now covered up on one side. Claudio is looking to start a road somewhere here. It is a subtle difference as to where exactly you start the road. This move is slightly better because the opposite move would have given back a 6-point monastery spot instead of a 5-point monastery spot. Now, of course, we know that Claudio would be the one to benefit, but when you give up a monastery spot or when you create a configuration on the board which leaves a monastery-shaped hole, your opponent is the one who's slightly more likely to take it because your opponent is to move next. Claudio gets the stacking monasteries again, and it looked like Claudio had the advantage last time, and Claudio gets the third monastery stack. It's a huge deal. Esteban, of course, manages to get some nice counterplay, 9 points on the scoreboard. Now multiple meeples tentatively attacking Claudio's city on the left. Now one more city has been completed by Extor, which is, I think, a shy move. It was better to go here and score 3 points. Now Claudio is going to be the one who's scoring 3 points, or maybe not. I think this move is, again, a bit too shy from Claudio. I don't like it. This road was perfectly safe. This city is a bit inconvenient for this monastery, if you ask me. And Extor is now just attacking this here city from so many sides, and I can't disagree with him really, because Claudio has all these wonderful monastery meeples, and you have to get some compensation somewhere. This attack is not that strong because there are 6 tiles remaining instead of the usual 8 at the start of the game. Claudio can probably now go here or here, develop one of his monasteries. Instead, he tries to make a blocking move, which I'm not sure is necessary. He has actually now a chance to do some more nasty blocking. If he now goes over here, which he does, he has a chance to trap not 1, not 2, but 3 of Red's meeples. And this tile, of course, is also fantastic for Claudio. He can now, he can go here, score 3 points, and create this beautiful configuration for completing his monastery with a triple city tile, or sometimes a double city tile. Esteban can still get a triple city tile here, get a city cap here, and complete the city, but it's now a bit harder to do. There are 3 tiles that fit over here, there are 3 tiles that fit over here, so the tiles that Red needs to complete the city are becoming increasingly specific, and Claudio now gets himself the 4th monastery. Extor now needs to make a very difficult decision. He decides to connect to the city straight away. However, a case was to be made for maybe this here move first to get himself some extra protection from this square. Now the square is blocked, and 3 meeples of red are blocked. However, this also means that 2 meeples of green are blocked, so it's not that bad, and Esteban is 5 points ahead on the scoreboard. Still, the advantage of Claudio exists in this position. He's eventually going to finish this here monastery. This is very difficult to block. This monastery is more often than not getting completed, but it is sometimes getting blocked. Claudio also now finished a little city at the top, equalizing the scoreboard. Esteban's farmer is quite early, but after Esteban goes here, which is the move which I expect him to make, he's going to have 1, 2, 3 completed cities. This is already quite a good farm. This road is very awkward. It's going to take a long time to recover. I mean, he's going to need maybe this configuration with a straight line, curve and a crossroads to make like an 8-point loop, or he's just gonna need a curve and 2 crossroads like here, to score a couple more points. But such a configuration is going to take longer to complete, and it will be subject to blocking. Yeah, tricky situation here for Esteban. Claudio starts a new city on the left. A bit of an unexpected move. I was thinking of something over here, perhaps. Claudio is trying to, Esteban is trying to block. Now Claudio needs to make a decision. Does he go here and get a meeple back? Or does he go here and score 4 points and clean off a city cap in his opponent's field? Or does he make the cautious move, the disciplined move of sacrificing a city cap just to get his monastery meeple back? And this totally works. Esteban, with the curvy tile that he drew, would have blocked the square. Claudio was disciplined. He decided to save his monastery, then immediately retrieve the meeple next move, and he's already starting a new city for 6 points over here and a potential threat of completion. If Claudio goes here, then with a Dorito tile, with a triangle tile, affectionately known as a Dorito amongst Carcassonne players, and a bunch of city caps like this, he could build and complete a city out worth 20 points or something. Claudio, in the meantime, is just scoring points around his monastery, getting 2 points for the road, setting up a 3-point road. Esteban creates an attacking square against the city, which will now be rendered obsolete. Claudio has several moves here. And this is sort of the default option, trying to go for this here pattern of triple city plus triangle. The main idea of this move, of course, is to not allow red to invade the city from here. It's already worth 10 points. It's a valuable city regardless whether it's going to get completed or not. 10 points is the most valuable feature on the board at the moment. And on a closed board like this, Esteban's road has grown on the right to 10 points already. So that is something. But Claudio could block this road actually quite easily, or at least make it very difficult to complete this road. Instead, Claudio is really trying to actually create the threat of completing the city. Esteban is trying to start a new city with his last meeple. He desperately needs it. He's behind 12 points on the scoreboard, and also Claudio has drawn 3 out of the 4 triple city tiles which red desperately needs in this square. Red doesn't even have the majority on this here city until he draws the triple city tile. Alright, so a meeple back for Extor. Claudio is trying to block this here red guy. Claudio has also built up the city to 12 points, and now it realistically could be completed. And what is Claudio going to do? No, he does not go over here. He's not that greedy. He gets himself an extra city. And also we know that Claudio, by the way, would have completed his city. He chose not to. He chose to play small ball. Esteban gets 4 points for a road. Claudio's 1 tile away from completing his city. Will he do it? Will he do it? And no, he will not do it just yet. He instead is going to build up over here, and now he's going to complete his city. This is huge. Look at this. Look at this lovelihood. Look at this loveliness. Look at this filth from the perspective of the Colombian player. 28 points for the city with just 1 meeple, and look how masterfully it was built. Green built the city in such a way that there was never an opportunity to attack it. All Extor could do was just place a couple of tiles adjacent to the city after Claudio immediately covered up. And this, of course, is going to be a very one-sided game. Claudio is going to win this with a huge margin of 30 points or even more. What can he do? Yeah, going for a 6-point farmer at the top. Xtor finishes the city and drops another farmer to get 10 points for the city and 6 points for his farmers. Claudio with something similar, expanding his field by a little bit, and a 6-pointer for Xtor to finish. So players exchange quite substantial points towards the end. But Claudio really just took an early lead with these multiple monasteries that, of course, were difficult to deal with. And at the end, this gigantic city, which honestly wasn't even necessary, Claudio was kind of winning regardless. And not sure what Esteban could have done here. Yeah, maybe there was an opportunity to play a bit cautiously with the city. Maybe what Esteban could have done, you know what, with this here tile, he could have first covered up this here square and then tried to draw another triangle with the road and then a city cap tile, and then just be a bit more patient with the city, and I believe he would have succeeded in the end. But hindsight 2020 of this one. So Colombia won, Chile won. Well, I'm talking about the score in this duel. I didn't have time to check the score in this match. You should be seeing the score of the match, how it is developing in the bottom right corner. Hi Besson. We are now witnessing the decider of this here duel, and Xtor, the starting player again. So quite fortunate to get the starting player the advantage of to get the starting player advantage 3 times in a row. Now also get the monastery stacking, and this of course is vulnerable stacking because, you know, some cities could go here, this tile could be blocked, but I see how Claudio now could really be tempted to just go here and create a very open position with 1 monastery of his own. I don't think he really should do that. Yeah, exactly. This is a very professional move by Claudio. Even though going there for that monastery would have been 6 points, it would have given 2 points to his opponent, and it would also have opened up the position unnecessarily. And that's why Claudio chose not to do this. It's might not be understandable to some newer players, perhaps, like, why wouldn't you go over here? But, like, trust me, this requires deep understanding of how positions develop in Carcassonne. The main reason why Claudio, well, I'm not sure if that was the main reason, but a crucial reason why Claudio didn't go over here is because he's not the starting player. And if he goes over here, he creates a big field. And the thing with big fields, they typically favor the starting player, because in fights for big features, the starting player gets slightly better probabilities for tile draws throughout the game, and especially at the end of the game. And it's certainly something that Claudio was thinking about. This farmer, though, is a bit dubious. It's kind of, I think, a bit too wasteful with meeples. I mean, Claudio, of course, is doing just great. Look at these here, 3 shielded tiles in a row. This, of course, is fantastic. And Claudio now going to get a road monastery and justify his farmer. This, of course, is just complete insanity of a tile draw. Just like so deeply incredible. Look, green now has 2 monasteries adjacent. Red has now 2 slightly more developed monasteries adjacent, and Claudio now finishes the city for 16 points with just 5 tiles. It's really efficient. Extor is having quite a difficult position right now. Claudio is picking up city tiles. Extor now needs to prevent that city from being completed too easily. Claudio is just going to plow through and continue. Difficult here for the Colombian. Now Claudio chooses to use a scoring tile for blocking, which appears to be, I don't know, a bit meh. A bit unnecessary. Could have instead used that tile for scoring. So Extor gets a meeple back. Extor gets another meeple back and scores quick points for a road, and suddenly he's already ahead on the scoreboard. Still, it's a good position for Claudio. Claudio's ahead on the field. Claudio has 1 more monastery, but now the game has evened up a little bit. Red is trying to build a rhombus-shaped city at the top, or perhaps a city with 2 city caps in the end. Claudio keeps building, and now what is Claudio doing? No, what is Extor doing? This is such a wasteful move, if you ask me. It was just so normal to take 4 points over here. Instead, Red dropped a farmer, and geometrically it's a perfectly fine farmer. Like, there's 7 tiles that fit into the square. It's almost a guaranteed connection, but it's kind of useless because all Claudio's going to do is just going to go over here and drop a farmer of his own eventually, and then connect to this here field again. So I know that seems a bit wasteful. 4 perfectly healthy points, which could make a difference for this game when the score is tight on the scoreboard, are being conceded by the red player. Red now gets his road back, leadership on the scoreboard again. Claudio still doing well, probably wants to go here for 4 points, maybe over here, trying to build up his city, but 4 points are 4 points are 4 points. You normally shouldn't really say no to 4 points. Extor now trying to get 8 points for himself, and now this is the first tricky decision for Claudio in the game. Not so tricky, apparently. He decides to meeple this monastery or not meeple this monastery. I'm really interested. I really don't know the correct answer here. Not meepling seems to make a lot of sense because he's kind of short on meeples, and it looks like it's going to be one of those classic games where the field is the most deciding feature of the game. Red is trying to recover his city, which was earlier broken by Claudio. The city at the top with 30 tiles remaining is certainly very well completable. Claudio gets some more quick points, becomes ahead on the scoreboard. Esteban with a scoring tile. How he's going to spend it this time? I mean, a natural move is to go here, try to take 2 points, and also try to poke at this here corner, trying to impede the development of the monasteries of his opponent. That would be a natural move. Another move is to go here and score 2 points, but Esteban has shown already that they're willing to sacrifice quick points unjustifiably. I'm going to say, yeah, and he does get the 2 points. No, he doesn't. Instead, he chooses to take 2 points in a different way. But with only 2 meeples remaining, it appears to be, again, like somewhat an unnecessary sacrifice. Because think about this. If you get another city cap, you get 4 points for the city. This means that you get 2 points per tile. And if he were to just take these 2 points, he would get the same 2 points per tile, but without the risk of investing a meeple. And as a result, Extor scored 2 points fewer than he could. He scored 4 points for the city. He could have grabbed 2 extra for the road, but he didn't. Claudio is 6 points ahead still. has an opportunity to finish his monasteries. He's not in a rush to do so, though there's still plenty of tiles to fit into that square. He could go here, actually. That would be quite a nasty move, maybe trying to create the threat of completing the city in the future. He could also go here and drop a farmer here. Yeah, this is what he's going to do. He figures that there's just so many curves remaining that this connection is almost guaranteed. So what is Claudio going to do now? He's going to get a curve eventually. He's going to have the majority on the field, so Extor will need to attack. And Claudio decides that he wants to add a point to Red City just to make sure that Red cannot easily get one city cap and complete the city. But the downside of this move is that Red could simply get a pair of city caps and now use this platform to drop yet another farmer. Claudio says that's all right. You can drop a farmer if you try. Extor gets one more. Meeple back, -6 at the moment, has some cities in these here areas which could develop into something tangible, and a great here move from Claudio, starting a new city, but most importantly, not allowing Red to use this platform to drop a farmer. And I think what Green wants to do, Green wants to overfarm. Green wants to get a tile over here and drop yet another farmer, a 4th farmer, to take away all platforms and now try to sneak in through this here way. Yeah, and it's going to be quite difficult for Extor to do anything really. I see an idea though. I think Esteban should go here right now. Yep, and he notices it. That's a very well spotted resource. There are multiple crossroad tiles available, which not only help the fields connection for Red, but also are going to give 4 points for one of these 2 roads. So much so that Claudio might be thinking of just going over here himself. Nah, he's not gonna do that. He's gonna take 2 points. Instead, Extor, the one who's gonna take 4 points. And actually, Extor now has the majority on the field because this here green farmer has yet to penetrate, and this here green farmer has yet to penetrate. Now here's one invasion at the top. Green still has the minority, 3 versus 2. And Extor actually has the chance to do one of 2 things. Either try and go for a YOLO farmer like this, like drop a farmer over here and hope for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the last remaining curve to go over here and complete the invasion against this here guy. Or what I expect, maybe just go over here and try to score some points. This would give him 6 points for a road. There's still a crossroad tile that could give him a meeple back. So one way how Extor can win this game is by keeping the field equal and maybe just trying to catch up on the scoreboard. So this is definitely an opportunity. And with 8 minutes on the clock, there's plenty of time for Esteban to calculate. I'm also going to try and do this with you. So on the cities, if you calculate all the cities on the board, Extor is like ahead 4 points or something. Actually 3 points. Claudio has 8 points for the monastery. Yeah, which means that the position of Extor is really difficult. I mean, he definitely needs the field and probably then some. So the best option that I see for Extor I'm not really sure what that is exactly. Maybe going over here is not crazy. And trying to get this here crossroads point. Yeah, you know, the more I think about this, the more the Colombian player has to realize that his win is contingent on drawing the crossroads. Because if red does not draw the crossroads, it means that green draws the crossroads. And if green draws the crossroads, green goes over here, takes 4 points for this road, 1 extra point for the monastery, gets a meeple back. The impact of that move is so high that green probably wins pretty much every time, and green can even afford to lose the field. Esteban decides to YOLO for the farm, which is completely understandable. And not only he decides that he's actually successful in that, and he has the majority on the field. He has succeeded. There are 4 red farmers on the field and only 3 green farmers. And now green needs to decide how they're going to win the game. Green is trying to build his city a little bit. I'm not sure exactly why he would do it exactly like this, because there is nothing that fits into this square anymore. So I think if I were green, I would have just gone here, perhaps. And oh, maybe the idea of Claudia's move is that he wants to, in the future, be able to get a city tile, drop a farmer here, and then invade here through something, but through what exactly? There are no monasteries remaining, and there are no vanilla city caps remaining, so yeah, the invasions through this here area are just not possible. I think Claudio's idea is simply to try to outrun his opponent. Claudio wants to win this game without the farm. Or, you know, maybe there's somehow a way how he can get... Yeah, I mean, he can get something like a straight line and a crossroads to make sure that this here farmer penetrates through here. But it would require a sequence of 2 tiles. And Extor now is trying to decide what exactly to do with this information. My intuition says that we just try to ignore this farmer. And maybe, we can just go here. So that would net us 1 point. It would give us 4 points for the city and 3 points for our opponent's farm. And then it would actually restrict the square. It would actually limit the number of tiles that fit there to complete 0. And so this would mean that this farmer just does not get to invade this field. 4 minutes on the clock for Extor. I'm pretty sure that this move is not that difficult to find. It's a rather natural move. You score and you block at the same time. And Claudio, of course, will be looking to just try and score a bit and win without the field, perhaps. Extor takes the points, but takes the points from a different area. And Claudio gets the crossroads and gets a meeple back. With that, I believe Claudio must have won this game, just because he has so much on the scoreboard. But wait, not so fast. Not so fast. These were 6 points, 6 quick points for the Extor guy, but 6 more points for Claudio at the top. This is going to come right down to the wire. 6 completed cities on the field controlled by Reds, 4 meeples. This is going to give Red 18 points at the end. Green has only these 3 meeples over here. But green has a 6-point farm in this area. Green has a reasonable 8-point city, which is only 1 point, which is only 2 points less compared to what Extor has over here. And green has this here road. The game is going to be decided by fewer than 5 points. A natural move for Extor is to probably just score points over here. This would give back a 6-point field, but maybe he's the one who can pick that up. It doesn't appear to quite fully work. No, I think it's worth a try. I know it's like 4 points are 4 points are 4 points. You're just not going to find anything better realistically. So maybe we go take 4 points. Our opponent goes here and takes the 6-point field. And then we go here. We take the 2-point road. If I have calculated the tiles correctly, which is a big if. Yeah, I don't think I have. Anyway, the point is I just really don't see any other options for Extor than simply scoring the points, and eventually and probably reluctantly he does exactly that. So what are the final 2 tiles? The dagger tile goes to Claudio, yeah, and what Claudio can simply do is he doesn't even have to go for the field. He can just score 7 points over here. He can score for this here city cap. And that will give him 4 points for the city. And 3 points for the field. Surely that should be enough. But he is not doing so immediately because he's contemplating taking the 6-point field instead, and it really depends on what kind of tile Extor has in his hand. So let's say if Extor has a city tile, then Extor will not be able to do all that much. What kind of tile does Extor does have a city tile in hand? The tile that Extor has in hand is an extender, basically one of these guys but without a shield. So I believe, yes, the correct move for Claudio is not to go over here, because check this out. Claudio goes over here, takes 7 points, then Extor goes here and takes the 6-point field. So we score 7, our opponent scores 6, this is net +1. But if Claudio goes here and takes a 6-point field, then this means that Extor cannot take that field. The best thing that Extor can do is to go over here and score 4 points. We score 6, our opponent scores 4, so we net 2 points. Yeah, this is actually an importance calculation. The correct move is not to score 7 points, but to score 6 points, but minimize the number of points that your opponent is going to make on their final move. Instructive moment right here. Claudio has just under 6 minutes to double and triple check this, and I can imagine what is going through his mind. He's simply counting the tiles in his head. He's trying to double check what is the last remaining piece. Now, you and I know that this is this here sausage tile, but without the shield. But from experience, I can tell you that this is one of the most insignificant types of tiles, so it is very easy to forget when you're doing the counting in your head, to the point that I almost have a heuristic. If there's one more tile remaining in the deck and you have just no idea what it is, 90% of the time it is the extender tile. Yeah, Claudio is really taking his sweet time here, to the point that I just want to refresh the page. Yep, he's still thinking. You know what? In the meantime, this gives me enough time to check the score. I know that you know the score, but I don't. Well, look at this. Colombia has defeated the high-rated Chile, almost eliminating Chile. A very, very sad turn of events for the Chileans. Tomas Rojas has defeated Tito Arce. Pechitos has defeated Vineria 2-0, the Chilean captain, so a bit of an upset. Dramcad still playing against H.U. Bry, but that's not going to matter because Killuminati Warrior has won against Adan Las Heras. Now, the outcome of this here duel is still going to be important for the tiebreakers. But yeah, Colombia has already won this match. They have won 3 duels out of the 4 completed duels. In a minute or so, Hong Kong against Mexico is going to be starting. But I really just want to witness the moment of Claudio placing the last tile and the points being calculated and all that. From what I understand, it could actually make some difference for the scores. Let us think about this, right? So X-Tour is -7. X-Tour has 18 for this here field. Wait, I mean, I'm going to try and make this bigger, right? Let me just make this bigger. No, not that big. So X-Tour 18 for the field. Yeah, Claudio finds the best move. Claudio finds the best move. He took him so long, but he triple checked all the tiles and realized that sacrificing 1 point, going for the 6-point field was more important than taking the 7 points over here, because the main deal was to prevent X-Tour from scoring points. X-Tour scored 4 instead of 6. Claudio found his bestest, very best endgame move. And let's see how the result is. This game is going to be decided by, I think, less than 5 points. Yeah, look at that. Claudio Jorquera won by 1 point. So it was actually very important to get this right. Well, actually, had Claudio made the subpar move, I think he still would have won, because with a score of 98-98, which is what the score would have been, Claudio, being the second player, would have been awarded the win in this game, because this is what happens in the event of a draw. But it's much better to win cleanly rather than winning via a draw, especially if you're in time trouble, and what if you miscalculated by 1 point or something. So yeah, lovely endgame from Claudio, and also important tiebreakers for Chile. Chile, of course, has only experienced losses so far. It's going to be difficult, if not too impossible, pretty much impossible for them to qualify for the playoffs, because Brazil and Colombia are now the main contenders. Hi, Rafa. already rooting for Mexico, which is the subject of our next match. But yeah, we're going to congratulate Claudio for winning this duel, but congratulate Team Colombia for defeating last year's runners-up. Really gotta have some sympathy for Chile there. They lost a close one against Brazil. They lost a close one against Colombia, and their tournament is pretty much over. Colombia, in the meantime, is thriving. Alrighty, so let's do a quick preview of the next match. Hong Kong against Mexico. Some notable names here, of course, Sonny Chen, playing for Hong Kong, the multifaceted board game athlete, the one and only world champion of Azul, and winner in many multiplayer games as well, the gold medalist of the 2025 in-person Mind Sports Olympiad, LSC, former champion of both Taiwan and Hong Kong, and vice champion of the United Kingdom, also master. So some really big names in Hong Kong. We're going to be focusing on Carmen Tang, with the screen name CT, which is probably from his initials, playing against the former United States champion, who's still representing Mexico, Daniel Ayala. A very big name for Mexico is Oscar Henny, who is expected to win on table 3, peak rating of in the upper 700, 780 or something. And of course, P-Chan on table 5 should give a good fight for Sonny. So it's really tables 2 and table 5 where I think the match is going to be decided. Lychee is probably going to be at an advantage against Kingsley, but we're going to check out this. And then of course LSC is going to be at an advantage against Siben of Mexico. So tables 2 and tables 5 are the focus of our attention. Where is our... I gotta close all these tabs. With Claudio Jorquera. Yeah, this is the Carmen Tang's profile. Current rating in the mid 500s. Carmen actually represented Hong Kong in person at the 2025 World Champion of Carcassonne in Germany, finishing in the middle of the pack. 2,000 game experience of Board Game Arena. For Daniel, of course, a more more experience and more recognizable pedigree. So this game has already started, and Daniel is 20 points ahead. Yeah, this is actually going to be quite difficult for CT, but you know what? Let's keep looking. So what do we have here? Now, CT is the starting player. CT is about to get a straight line and score 7 points for this road with 2 versus 1 majority. CT could get the one and only road monastery remaining in the deck and score 9 points over here. And CT could get a dagger tile, the one and only remaining dagger tile, and score 12 points for the city and get a meeple back. And of course, another option how he could get something good going for himself in this game is develop this here city on the left and complete it. So all is not lost. You know, CT could also get like a monastery here for 7 points and maybe another one for 6. So this board is quite wet. There are plenty of scoring opportunities. You just have to draw the right tiles. Daniel is starting a new city, and Daniel was trying to block this here square to not allow Red's road to connect here. A very nice defense from Red, making it much more difficult to place something in this here square. Daniel has a chance to place here a city tile, meepling the city himself, saying, hey, if you want to go here, if you want to connect the road, you're going to be forced to help me with the city. And look at that. Will you look at this? This is just utterly remarkable. So, if you're Carmen, do you even bother going over here or not? Because imagine you go over here and your opponent just finishes the city for 12 points and then you look stupid. But I think as Carmen, you kind of have to go there, because if you don't, you have 3 meeples stuck and your opponent has only 2 meeples stuck, and then you are at a meeple disadvantage as well as a point disadvantage. If you go here, you get 2 meeples back immediately. If Daniel finishes the city, you know what? It's whatever. Because if we have 4 meeples in our hand, we can do a lot of nasty things. Like we can go here, for example, and start dropping farmers, and then we can get a monastery. We can get all kinds of things. And Carmen decides to make the sacrifice just to get the road, just to get the monastery square filled. And Daniel gets a city cap to finish the city, but not the city that y'all were thinking of. Alrighty, so Carmen now has a chance to maybe start breaking the city. Or maybe if you're Carmen, you want to go here or somewhere here, start building up. Or maybe you do want to proceed with this plan and drop a farmer here. I think that would be a little bit too early. I think you specifically want to go here with a curve and pretty much nothing else. Because the issue with going with the farmer here is that Daniel's going to take a straight line. Daniel's going to go here, and Daniel going to restrict the square. And as we can see, Carmen understands this, and I think he makes a good move, makes a really good attempt to try and not allow an easy city, but Daniel does get the easy city. Oh, it's so tough. So what Carmen could do, he could go here, drop a farmer, that would make a lot of sense. He could go here, drop a farmer, basically try to connect through this road monastery, that would also make a lot of sense. Whatever he does, his move is probably a farmer. And then you know what? Yeah, he goes for the bottom farmer, that makes a lot of sense. Daniel decides to go for a farmer here. Oh wait, actually, why didn't CT go for a farmer here himself? I think this could have been a missed opportunity, but it's whatever. Daniel starts a new city, and CT gets a curve. He could want to go here, maybe? Or an alternative, yeah, he can go here and try to score a 6-point road. Daniel, in the meantime, could score a 5-point road instead, but why would he do that when it's more important to impede the development of this city on the left? Especially when you're 20 points ahead, 27 points ahead on the scoreboard, the technique here is rather preventing your opponent from scoring, over-scoring yourself. Hi, Agatha. Rooting for Hong Kong, of course. Good to know that we have somebody from both sides. Yeah, also do let me know how's my sound, by the way, because I'm kind of falling asleep a little bit. I am sort of slouching in my chair, and therefore my mouth is a bit further from the microphone. So if I'm like too soft and stuff, let me know. Yeah. Oh, look at this. CT drop a farmer. Ah. Anyway, so CT completes a city for 12 points, and this is a huge deal. Decides not to drop a farmer, and honestly, I would drop a farmer. I would so drop a farmer. CT completes a road and now is climbing closer at the scoreboard, and if he only gets a road monastery, but he doesn't get a road monastery, this here farmer is gonna be trapped here forever. Daniel's not gonna go here for 9 points. He's not gonna release a meeple back into the hand of CT if he knows anything about Carcassonne. He's gonna do one of two things. He's either gonna go here for 7 points, or he's going to go here and score 3 points, or he's going to go here and score 3 points, like one of those things. But the chance of Daniel going here and scoring 9 points, this is basically 0. So here's why this move would be very bad. So if you get 9 points, it sounds great, but your opponent gets 1 point too, and they get a meeple. Oh, come on, Daniel. No. Okay, now I'm just rooting for Carmen, because like Daniel is trying to lose on purpose. He's making the one move, the one and only move that gives him a chance for losing the game. Daniel was steadily ahead. He was ahead on meeples and on the scoreboard. But now that there is a big field in play, Carmen can actually win this. All he has to do is just drop a bunch of farmers, drop a lot of farmers, and win the field. And like technically Carmen doesn't really have to do any of this. He's trying, of course, to have himself some more chances, like finishing the city perhaps. It's a good move, honestly. It also makes it harder to block the square or invade the city. But yeah, the main idea how Carmen wins, of course, he goes here, drops a farmer, he goes here, drops a farmer, monastery here, and so on and so on. And that's why this move is so good by Daniel in the meantime, redeeming himself for unnecessary risk. In the last move, Carmen decides to score monastery, but it might not even be enough necessarily. Daniel's going to finish the city. Carmen maybe is going to get like multiple monasteries and try to catch up on the scoreboard and then equalize the field instead of winning this. This is also an opportunity of what he could do. But yeah, I'm still highly critical of this move because there were just so many better alternatives. So this was 8 points for the price of 1 meeple. Like, he could have just gone for 3 points for the price of 0 meeples. And a meeple in this position is worth more than 5 points. Daniel with a creative move. Daniel's really trying to preserve his lead on the farm. And the idea of this here move is simply taking away a farming platform which Carmen could use. And also making it much more difficult, if not impossible, to build up these monasteries as a monastery cluster. For example, something like this is no longer possible. So very creative move from Daniel. Does not go for the natural completion of the city cap. Honestly, I can understand this. I think it's pretty cool. Daniel now needs to choose between 2 options. One is going over here and just starting a 5-point road. And the second one is this one, which is probably the superior option. Just making it harder to complete this city. But is it the superior option, though? I think if you're CT, you have now a plan for the game. I mean, option 1, of course, you can go here and score some points and try to get yourself a monastery and so on and so on. But maybe the alternative that you have is that you can just go here or here and then try like draw a lot of city tiles and simply complete that city. The city is so big that completing it would absolutely win you the game. And this is what he goes for by spending such a juicy tile to get simply 1 point for the city. Carmen has shown that his win condition is simply building a big urban monstrosity. And I can't blame him. Maybe it's the best that he's got. Because the board after this here move by Daniel, it's kind of so clogged. There are just not many farming platforms. And so CT could drop a farmer here eventually. That would get 1 red meeple into the field, but he would still need the second meeple to even equalize. and I just don't see exactly where he could drop it. All right, so Daniel is trying to set up some blocking opportunities on the left. I think he's trying to get himself a Dorito tile. Ah, so look at this. Look at this, look at this. Carmen does want to drop the farmer nonetheless. And he's going to try pursue both options. So maybe going over here in the first instance, or maybe not. Maybe if you're Carmen, you can delay the connection of the farmer a little bit, and you can go here and try to meeple this 5-point road and try to also draw a couple of city tiles to cover up the city first and then to complete it later. Yeah, of course, he might be also considering going over here, but a move that really does nothing. Yeah, it gives him a meeple back, but it also gives a Daniel a meeple back, so it's really a net zero move, essentially. It does give him a couple of points extra, but it's nothing compared to 3 points over here. So I expect one of these two moves. I think it's a bit more romantic to go for something like this. He goes for the points instead. Also can't blame him for that. Daniel's gonna quickly score himself. A 5-point road has just opened up. I do not think he's going to resist the temptation. If Daniel's feeling extra cautious, he might actually go here instead and try to equalize the city. This is something that would be ill-advised, because then Carmen would be able to invade through here or through here and get a 2-against-1 majority in this here city area. This city is honestly best left alone, at least for a while, and Daniel does score the quick points, which is exactly what we expected. Carmen kind of has to continue the idea of developing his city, really. I don't see anything else. This is a good move. Okay, you know what? This is a good move. Credit where credit's due. It kind of cuts off this farmer at the top. And now that Carmen has himself one farmer on the field, he can think about the second one. It is difficult at the moment, but it is doable. So for example, he could get a city tile, drop a farmer here, connect through a monastery, and then get the last vanilla city cap tile as well, get even a monastery meeple back. There are plenty of opportunities that way. Daniel can do one of three things. He can either go here for 3 points, he can go here and block the monastery, which is probably what I would opt for. He can go here actually and definitively block the city towards the square, because there's no starting tile remaining there. Is there though? Yeah, there's no starting tile remaining. All tiles like these have already gone. And there's also the option of going over here and actually meepling this segment, trying to get one of the 2 triple cities to connect here, just to freeload of all those points that red has been building. This would require a permanent investment of a blue meeple with 18 tiles remaining. 18 tiles seems a little bit too many, so maybe it has to be one of the blocking moves. The 3 points are also fine, but at this point, I'm not sure if the 3 points contribute enough to blue's winning probability. Hi, Hugo. Agatha is asking, why didn't CT add farmers? Well, it's easier said than done. There are just like not that many places to do so. If you're talking about earlier stages, then yes, of course. All right, Daniel decides to go for the equalization of the city, and it's a respectable move, but I think it gives CT some good chances. So first step for CT is probably to catch up on the scoreboard a little bit and get the 4 points over here. Oh no, he goes for the straw farmer straight away, and this is actually quite creative, Can't blame him at all. Now Daniel is going to go here, and he's going to block this square, but Carmen still is going to have one tile that goes over here and helps the farmer penetrate that way. This is going to put him in on equal standing on the farms, considerably behind on the scoreboard, but still with some chances. The main chance that the CT is going to have is either trying to find a way to get his fourth farmer into the field, and I'm a bit surprised that Daniel seems to be nonchalant and just takes the quick points here. Carmen will be happy to go over here and protect his monastery, or maybe just ignore that and go here and score 4 points. I'm not sure exactly which one's best. I think I probably prefer doing something like this and not be too greedy. I mean, originally as CT, I probably prefer doing something like this. Getting a meeple back can be quite useful, but I can understand how the invasion of the fields can seem quite time sensitive. Carmen is having himself only 2.5 minutes on the clock. Yeah, so he makes the more logical moves, which I do quite like. Maybe 2 points are not that important. It's okay to score 2 instead of 4 if this means protecting the square. Yeah, Daniel taking these 3 points, I think, is a little bit too pawn grabby of a mindset, to speak in chess terms, and a great tile for CT as well. Again, 2 possibilities. We can either go here for 4 points, or we can go here for 2 points and set up 4 further points when we get the curve, which might be even better. Oh, look at that. CT does get himself the farmer, and he can even get the curve to get the monastery meeple back. Daniel is going to get 3 points over here in all likelihood. He might choose to sacrifice and get 2 points here. The reason for this is that if we go here for 3 points, then we expose a platform to be attacked here. This move by Daniel is quite interesting. It doesn't really make all that much sense. I mean, it makes some sense. Originally, it looks not that great because it creates a 4-point road which CT can claim whilst also recovering his monastery. But it also covers up potential field invasions, and this might be more important. Quick point for CT, who's catching up on the board, on the scoreboard real quick, but we need not forget that Daniel has a 9-point farm over here. The big farm is completely equal. And eventually Daniel is quite likely to go here and connect to this big city. So not that easy to compensate for 12 points. And I think Carmen needs to create some extra opportunities. Let's start thinking here. I quite like, well, not that, Carmen. This is just a tile which is completely discarded. I know that he's short on time, but come on. He had to go here, for example, trying to create a farming opportunity that would enable him to connect to the field like this, using the last remaining road Dorito tile, which wasn't existent. Now, Carmen's now ahead on the scoreboard, which is very good for him. But Carmen is still behind overall because Daniel has so many farmers over here. Okay, раз, два, три, четыре, пять, шесть, семь, восемь, девять. Okay, that's actually a very interesting move. He's trying to invade this here field. That is a big deal because if he successfully invades, he's going to be 1 point ahead somehow. Daniel is going to have no advantage over here, and 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 the only thing that's going to make a difference is the scoreboard. So what does Daniel do? I think, I don't know exactly what the last tiles are. Maybe Daniel has already won, because I can't think of many tiles that go over here. There are no curves, there are no more straight lines, there are no more T-shaped crossroads, no more starting tiles. Ah, but you know what? There is still, I believe, a dagger tile that fits into this square. No, there isn't. Of course there isn't. Of course there isn't. This was the last one. Yeah, so this was the last tile available there. So this means that Carmen cannot connect here anymore, and Carmen is probably lost? Yeah, probably lost. Here's the monastery. And after this move, Carmen is tied, if I calculated correctly, and Daniel is going to take a 4-point road and win by 4 points. By 3 points, rather, because CT is going to score a little bit extra. But look at this, CT came very close. Imagine if the tiles were reversed, if CT drew this first. He would have been able to score 3 points in this area and only then meepling the monastery. And this would, you know, give him a couple of extra points to play with. Yeah, very nice almost comeback by CT. And Daniel, I think, by going here, just gifted meeples to CT, and fortunately, very fortunately for Blue, managed to withstand the final onslaught. Both players in severe time trouble, 12 seconds per side. What looked like a 20-0 start, what was a 20-0 start for the Mexican, ended up being a complete thriller. So yeah, Daniel 1, Carmen 0. It's a best of 3, so we're moving on straight to the second game. The players are not in a hurry to go to the second game. I will keep refreshing, and there we are. Actually, I want to also refresh here. How are other players doing? Mexico has already won a duel. That was quick. Lichi the Killer, as expected. Lichi Ocampo has won against Kingsley 75 on table 1. In under half an hour. YY is in the process of making an upset against Oscar Henny. This could be quite interesting to observe, but we're going to stick for now with our duel CT against Daniel. On tables 4 and 5, the results are reasonable. Alrighty, so Carmen Tangs, the starting player. Daniel's going to take the first city piece and the monastery. The first road goes to red. Carmen is going to start a monastery of his own, of course. I'm not exactly sure which side is better. This is maybe slightly better. I was also thinking here, because then we can go later here with tempo. It is in our interest to go here, blocking this square. We don't want this blue city to ever be completed, even though it would cost us a road meeple as well. Daniel You could just go here, start a city cap. It would be unwise to go over here. In these opening configurations, you typically have to be quite patient. You gotta wait for a triangle tile, then another triangle tile, have that pattern, and then finally, when you get the final triangle tile, then you complete your city. The crossroads have been discarded, which is great news for our Mexican fans, because this changes the parity of the tiles on the board. There are now 61 tiles remaining, which means that Daniel is going to be the one to draw the last tile from the deck, which means that the starting player advantage, which normally goes to the starting player, now goes to the second player. Daniel is going to be the one who's going to have the more favorable endgame and the slightly better probabilities throughout the game. Yeah. Now, an interesting decision here for Daniel. A natural move is to go here and just finish the city, since it is slightly vulnerable from the left. But then a very tempting move is just to go here and try to set up the completion of the monastery with another monastery. A third option is to go here. But Daniel becomes quite creative, and you know what? Can't blame him for it. He goes for a semi-Ukrainian technique, which is when you play one city meeple against a road and a monastery of your opponent, not to be confused with the classic and the original Ukrainian technique when you play one city against two monasteries, against a monastery stacking. Yeah, this move is okay. Normally you want to do the sort of thing with a tile like this, rather, yeah? So Daniel wishes he could have flipped his tile draws. He could have just finished the city, and with this here tile he could have gone here. Because this is just a city cap and not a triangle, like, he cannot build up his side of the city, but this move will serve a good purpose of delaying his opponent. Anyway, Daniel, what are you doing? Sometimes these moves, I can't. So it's not like too bad necessarily, although honestly it kind of is. The idea behind this move is, yeah, we're trying to finish our city, but it helps the road of red so much. Don't help your opponent. Honestly, like, don't help your opponent is something that should be understandable even if you're watching Carcassonne for the first time, even if you don't know the rules of the game. Or if you help your opponent, make sure that you help yourself more than you help your opponent. And moves like these, they can just, how do you say this? Go backwards, not go backwards, go sideways, yes. Very easily. Imagine red gets like a Dorito tile with the road, attacks the city. Then blue never gets to complete the city, but red gets to complete this road using the generously provided crossroad tile. Carmen with a very interesting move of his own, trying to create a hole for a triple city tile of all tiles. I can see that. I can see that. Daniel is not in a hurry to build up his monastery or any of his other features, just tries to poke a little bit at this here guy. Now a city cap for Daniel. What does he do? The natural move is to finish this 8-pointer. Another alternative is to go here and invade this here red guy. That's also an opportunity, and then we can hope for something like a triple city over here and a triple city over here, and we're trying to score some 16 points in this area. But this is just a different type of game. I think as Daniel, I play it simple. I take the 8 points over here. I allow my opponent to take the 8 points over here if they're willing to do so. And then I expose a vulnerability in this here square, right? Because again, if we go over here, then if we place a city tile over here, suddenly there is only one tile that fits into the square, and it's very difficult for Carmen to continue or complete this road. Not sure if Daniel has any other candidate moves. It's really between these two. I mean, this is a bit too reckless. This is also a bit too reckless. Like, this city at the bottom can wait. Honestly, the ideal configuration for the city is something like Dorito with a road, Dorito with a field, miscellaneous Dorito here, curve, monastery. Like, this is the setup that I'm going for. Now, Carmen has a Dorito tile of his own, and I'm very curious what kind of setup he's going to go for. So option one, we go here. When we'd lose a bunch of points, but our idea becomes to simply keep the meeple parity, get the triple city here, and just get some meeples back, finish our monastery and whatnot. Another option is we go here, which means that we're permanently blocking this square, and we're losing 2 meeples against Daniel's 1 meeple, which honestly doesn't sound that great. And we're trying to finish a city on the left, but that city can be attacked from the bottom left. So that is not ideal. We could ignore everything and we could go here for 3 points and start a new road. That would be kind of the aggressive scoring approach, which also makes sense. But then this would beg the question, why did we just start this whole maneuver on the left in the first place? The best tile that that CT can draw would be something like a splitter tile, where he gets to complete his 8-point city and then place a different meeple to try and equalize here. But beggars can't be choosers. 2 juicy tiles have been used just to set up this triple city tile. Quite inefficient building, really, from red. So this here move from Daniel has proven to be completely justified, even though the blocking is not going to succeed. The delay of the monasteries and forcing your opponent to use good tiles just to get meeples back is absolutely fantastic. Yeah, look at this. The splitter, the shielded tile, and then a road end. These tiles are going to be used just to equalize this 1 pointer and free up the meeples of red. Daniel decides to make a blocking move. It's a bit unorthodox because there's still 1 more tile remaining, so maybe not quite worth of a city cap. As Daniel, my preference would have been probably to go over here, try to set up a curve or a monastery here, and set up a triangle or a triple city in this here area. But even with 1 tile remaining, it could be a long time for CT to wait until drawing such tiles, and then his road could be drawn later. So this is actually quite powerful. Carmen decides to drop the first farmer of the game, which I think is way too early. I mean, it's only worth 3 points. Daniel decides to not go here, but try to start blocking the square, which I think is a bit of an excessive measure. CT tries to protect. That is actually quite some effective defense, and Daniel now needs to save his city at the bottom. I think Daniel cannot afford to go here, cannot afford to take the quick points over here. He could actually go here. That is quite an interesting move, and try to meeple like this, and get one of the 7 remaining triangle cities and try to get a city here. But the prospect of dropping a divider on your opponent's field is not great. So maybe this here would be the standard move. starting a new city whilst completing the previous one, making sure that both of the city segments on the splitter tile contribute to different features of blue. That would be efficient building. Of course, going over here is also just fine, and taking the points is just fine, but like this is the sort of move that this tile is designed for. Carmen, with a tricky tile, really. I guess we sort of have to go over here, but I hate this. If I'm red, I hate this because it sets up such a juicy monastery for our opponent that, well, I don't even know how to deal with this. Hi, Esteban. Congratulations for your team win and commiseration for the loss on your table. Your table was the one that we followed. That was quite exciting. Yeah, so Carmen understandably chooses just to take a city and not to attack the city cap over here. And now he gets all his meeples back. Yes, it was a lot of effort, a lot of good tiles. But finally, Carmen is in a good field position. And Daniel just does not seem to be able to draw a city cap to finish his own city. CT now probably just needs to go here, fill in the 7-pointer. Maybe even going here is not crazy. Yeah, this move makes a lot of sense. It's just too many points to pass up. And also Daniel could have a monastery in hand and go here himself. Daniel now needs to start thinking about all that juicy fields. Instead, he is interested in blocking this here square, which is something that I can understand, but CT is now going to protect and maybe even drop a second farmer. I think dropping a second farmer here is not crazy. 5 tiles to fit into the square, and this field is probably is definitely going to be big enough to justify 2 farmers. Now, yeah, it has 2 completed cities, but it also has 1, 2, 3, 4 completed cities potentially waiting to happen, and no pure, well, I guess this 1 green square for future development, and a couple of opportunities to create more cities in the field in the future. Daniel could start thinking about farms himself. I think a logical move is going here with blue. And this is precisely the reason why Carmen should have been proactive and dropped a farmer here. Like, I know that maybe he's waiting for his opponent to attack the field first, but you should just assume that your opponent is going to attack the field. If the field is worth attacking, your opponent is going to attack the field. There's just no way around this. Daniel decides to just go here and not drop a farmer. The purpose of this move really does not make much sense to me. Why not just start a new road for 3 points, for example? It looks like a field restriction, but the field is already big enough. I don't get this one bit. I think this move is way too shy. Either you farm or you go here. The one and only explanation that I can think of is that sometimes Board Game Arena does not depict the meeple placements correctly, and I refresh and I still see no blue meeple here. Okay, well, that's interesting, right? Blue starting a 5-point road, still not interested in attacking this field. Red starting the city is just not that good. I think red should have just gone over here, starting attacking Daniel's city, or, you know, done something more creative like going over here. this just doesn't do so much. And honestly, this city meeple gets into trouble so often. Like, you'd be surprised how often this poor meeple gets blocked, especially with a vulnerable meeple over here already. So, red trying to block over here. It's not going to work, but it's still worth a try because, you know, like, what else are you going to do with a straight line? Daniel makes a move which is not really understandable to me. He's preventing himself from finishing the city and kind of helping out CT. Maybe the intention is to make this here square a little bit more unrestricted. And maybe getting a city cap, dropping a farmer. Maybe the intention is getting a Dorito tile and then a triple city. And then another city cap and then winning a big 18-point city. We will never know. Okay, Carmen now has only one reasonable move. He should absolutely not react to Daniel having just finished a 6-point road and come closer to Red's lead. He should do exactly this. Yes, 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 yes. Even though this move completes the monastery for Daniel, it gives a lovely monastery for Red, which will be completed on the next turn pretty much. And most importantly, it controls Daniel's city, something that's really overdue. Blue can now go here. This move would not be insane. There are still some tiles that fit into this square, and blue could try and win this. This move from blue is also very, very reasonable. Trying to build up the city in the north. Daniel could just continue with the city. CT is again scoring points and again in the lead. His field is also developed as a result of this. Daniel is threatening to finish the city, drop a farmer, and maybe in the future block this here. Whoops, what's wrong with my drawings? Block this here square, keep these two monasteries trapped. This is a possibility. Daniel gets himself a monastery of his own. There is this here juicy spot, but this is one of those instances where Daniel should not take it. Instead, he's better off with one of these here 4-point spots. And because of the abundance of meeples that he possesses, he should deploy at least one of them. Otherwise, like, what else are you going to use them for? Carmen, by the way, instead of going over here, could have also gone over here, tried to eliminate this here field connection platform. It's still possible to go here, for example, drop a farmer, and then threaten connections both this way and this way. But I do like Carmen's move because it creates an attacking platform against a rather urgent threat of Blue's city completion, and it has a nice side effect of perhaps blocking the connection square, which would leave Blue stranded with just 1 point. And Red with excellent chances for further city development in this here area. The quadruple city tile is still in the deck. Yes, look at that. Look at this loveliness. 4 points for Daniel. Totally worth the meeple investment. Really not just that many places where meeples can be spent. And CT now with a dilemma. Yeah, he just takes the 5 points. It makes so much sense. I cannot blame him for that. He will allow Daniel to complete the city in all likelihood. Oh, but look at this. It's an excellent tile for CT. CT is going to go over here. He's going to defend his monasteries towards the 2 remaining regular vanilla city caps. Note that there are no field monasteries remaining. There's only 1 road monastery remaining. So we go here. We restrict significantly the city of blue, and we leave 2 city caps that fit into the square, and also we keep the field nice and protected. An additional but a crazy option is to go here. This move, of course, is much, much better. The road does seem to be a bit extra, but it turns out to be justified, as Daniel does successfully finish the city. It just ends up costing him a little bit, but you know, it's whatever. Great move for CT, blocking the square, and then still having the quadruple tile to go over here and try to develop. Daniel's probably looking to deploy some of his meeples. I mean, maybe here, finally dropping a farmer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's still 2 curves remaining to fit into the square. Whoops. So 2 curves to fit into the square, as well as a bunch of combos that fit over here. Well, maybe not anymore. After the move of CT, Daniel's quite fortunate, immediately gets the connection, but CT completes 2 monasteries for 18 points and a city for 4, so we're going to see 22 points being added to CT's scoreboard and 2 meeples to his arsenal. And Carmen Tang is quite close to defeating a master here. Daniel takes the last available farming platform and drops a farmer. Very wise move from Daniel. So CT might be forced to go here and drop a farmer like this, so that when Daniel connects, CT connect as well and maintains parity on the farm. Or maybe CT has an idea as how he could win without the field. He is, after all, 13 points ahead on the scoreboard. There are going to be some additional options for him. And he does drop the farmer. This is not an easy find at all. This is not an easy find. Daniel connects to the field. Carmen does not quite get the chance to connect to the field, but he will in the future. There are a couple of tiles that fit into the square. And by a couple, I mean literally 2. Okay, 3. There's the road monastery, there's the vanilla city cap, and there is the regular Dorito. Carmen decides to drop yet another farmer. The purpose of this farmer, which still technically can connect with one of the 2 remaining, how do you call them, dagger tiles. The purpose of this farmer is simply not to allow Daniel a farm. And look at this, the farmer is successful. What a move here from Carmen, like excellent field play. It's not just good fortune, he just knows how to pick up the probabilities. Carmen now is going to be ahead in the field again after he goes over here, which is I think what he should do. If he doesn't go here, he's going to leave only 2 tiles that fit into the square. At this score, it's not enough. I know a monastery is beautiful, but yeah, we have to sacrifice it. We have to sacrifice it. Daniel now trying to go for a different win condition. He's trying to finish a city here. CT now has several options available. Oh, this is so beautiful. So look at this. Option 1, yeah, we go here, we get a city cap, we get meeples back. Option 2 was to go here and double and triple down on the field. Option 3 was going to go here. CT is not going to spend time in time trouble. It's going to go for option 1. Daniel was so close to completing a city, it's not going to just quite work. Carmen Tang's ahead 23 points. He's ahead 3-2 on this here field with 6 completed cities on it for 18 points. Even if Daniel finishes his city, he's still going to be behind. And Carmen, yeah, he's going to go here. He's going to set up yet another city. Daniel probably has to go here, prevent the city, and maybe even try to attack the field somehow. It is also quite tempting to just go for points, but then you just cannot afford to allow Carmen 8 points and yet another farmer. You just cannot afford that. So maybe you do go here, and maybe you try and do some weird farming connection at the end. I'm not quite sure. Also note that there's still one tile that fits into this square. So that's worth something. That's a very wise, very disciplined move. Sacrificing 4 points, but not allowing Carmen Tang to clinch the game immediately. What is Carmen going to do? I'm not sure. Maybe something like this is in order. Yeah, that's probably a good move. Trying to not allow CT to finish the city. Or maybe going something like this is even slightly better. Actually, doesn't really make that much of a difference. Yeah, I think we play against this. Carmen instead wants to get extra insurance on the field. I wonder if he's overplaying the field a little bit, or maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, he doesn't even need to attack the field. All he needs to do is prevent his opponent from attacking the field. And he decides to double and triple connect to the field. And at the end, he's going to get a little bit of extra. He's going to have 4 red farmers against blue's 2 farmers. And this should be more than enough to take victory in this game. Daniel, laudable effort, finishing an 18-point city purely out of nowhere, which started in a very unusual fashion here. Still not going to be enough for the Mexican-American. And Carmen Tang, the Hong Kong representative at the 2025 World Championships in Germany, will take this one down. Absolutely beautiful, absolutely spectacular game. So multifaceted, so focused on the field towards the end, leaving Daniel no chance. And of course, down to the wire again. All right, I actually kind of forgot the score, to be honest. Oh, okay. So here's how we're doing, right? So YY had an upset against IMD5. That's huge for Hong Kong. LSC took care of business on table 4. Lychee took care of business on table 1. And now, as I told you at the start, the match will be decided on table 2 and table 5. In order for Mexico to win, both Daniel and Pichan need to deliver victories. In order for Hong Kong to win, either Carmen or Sunny need to deliver victories. So we are going to keep watching what we're watching, the decider between Daniel Ayala and Carmen Tang. As we're taking a 30-second break, I'll remind you, of course, to meeple the like button. It is quite important for the algorithm. Especially after I haven't streamed for a couple of weeks. Let's get some new people into competitive Carcassonne as a spectator sport. Carmen Tang is going to be the starting player again. Starting with the best tile in Carcassonne, the Road Monastery. Not the best tile to begin the game with, but just pretty much the best tile in general. Daniel is going to start a road. Carmen is going to attack it, and this is very interesting. So this is a standard restriction of the city cap. And now we're going to see how greedy is Carmen Tang. The greediest move is to go here and to meeple this here city. But then there's a real risk of having this here square blocked and losing 2 of your meeples early in the game. So I think if I'm Carmen, I am not doing something like this. I'm doing something like this, rather, like something similar. The issue with that move is that Daniel can just like go, no, not like that. I don't know. I think if I'm Daniel, I'm just taking this city cap. Like, it's not that easy to block at the start of the game. Carmen will be taking it. And taking the lead. 4 points on the scoreboard. Early monastery, all that loveliness. Slightly vulnerable square over here. But, you know, nothing too much to be worried about. Daniel probably doing something like this. Or maybe, you know what, maybe something like this is a little bit better. Just separating the roads. Or maybe if there's no rush, we can just go here, start a new city. Plenty of options. But I'm genuinely not quite sure as to which option's best. Maybe even starting a new city here is a good option. The separating of roads is nice, but it's not like super essential. Ideally, what we want to do first, we want to get something like a triple city tile. We want to block the square, or at least severely restrict it. It's not going to happen anyway, but you know, that was the original plan. Carmen sorts out his vulnerable square. Daniel is going to go here for a 4-point loop. That will be his most aggressive scoring move. I think a lot of low-rated players would just add the triangle to the city, which is not necessarily bad, it's just too unambitious. It's not crazy, actually, you know what, to go here and to separate the roads and to set up one of the 7 remaining crossroad tiles to finish not 1 but 2 roads. Yeah, this is just too weak. It's much better to go for a 4-point loop than just to add a couple of points. And as we know, the loop would have already been completed. Carmen's already building the monastery here. Setting up another potentially. Going for the so-called monastery corridor. You know, let me just try to draw it again. So the way this works, like we'll go straight line, monastery. Straight line, monastery. Curve, monastery. And then with 9 tiles, we've scored an additional 30 points. 30 points. All right, well, Carmen can easily continue his stacking. I hope he does not go over here, which looks good. It's 5 points, but this move is just so much better. A bit of slightly suboptimal ordering for the monastery corridor, but it's still so high scoring that you just gotta try it. But it's a good position to be thinking about, like there are multiple monastery spots. There's this 5-pointer here. There's this 5-pointer here. Like you gotta evaluate pros and cons. Most experienced players can dismiss this one quite easily, just because this here square is like, it just tickles a little bit too much. It really has to be between this, and I think Carmen misses an opportunity here. This move is just so much stronger. It's so much stronger. Like it creates so much more scoring threats. But again, it's maybe not that easy to see. So, Mr. Ayala is going to do one of two things. He could go over here for 6 points, but he also go the aggressive route and go here and try to delay the city completions, but create 2 threats for just more points. I'm not sure which one's correct. I think simple is best. I agree with Daniel here. And finally, he's ahead on the scoreboard. Carmen scoring a little bit more, building up one of his monasteries. Could have been building up 2 of his monasteries, but you know, I will keep quiet. No, I won't. Daniel has some interesting opportunities. Yeah, he just plays it very simple. Like Daniel plays in a way that is trying to minimize variance quite a lot. So this indicates that he perceives himself as the stronger player between the two. He is the highest rated player between the two. Nevertheless, the score in the match is equal. The score in the duel is equal, sorry. No idea what Carmen should do here. This tile is actually quite interesting. That is a really good move from Carmen. That is an amazing move. It is trying to block this here square and basically forcing his opponent into a losing mini battle, because this here potentially blocked meeple is worth more than this here potentially blocked meeple. It's really, really beautiful. And in the event that Daniel does finish the city, well, it's not too much damage done, because it will help Red's monastery as well. Daniel starting a city at the bottom, which is like quite precarious. Oh, this hurts so bad for Carmen. 6 points for Daniel, and an extremely sensitive square. And so what the move that Carmen needs to find right now, and I trust that a player of his caliber can do this, is to not shell out for something in this area, but treat the threats of blocking his monastery extremely seriously. The best move that I can see is this. No. The best move that I can see is this, because this is something that would have allowed a range of possible configurations that can go into this square. If we go here, then we can complete the monastery either with a T crossroads and a vanilla city cap, 2 T crossroads, 5 vanilla city caps remaining, or we can use a rose tile or a city crossroads and then one of the 5 remaining extenders or splitters. So 2 plus 5, it's a really, really good chance. And well, now a second chance. Carmen has to find this move. I mean, it's not the only possible move. Like he can go here, continue his road and monastery. He can go here, start abusing the city of blue. But yeah, I think this here guy deserves to be saved. Like a meeple is still a lot in a position with 45 tiles remaining, and he finds the move. He did see the opportunity. He just had opinions regarding priorities. And in the meantime, whilst Daniel is thinking what to do with the straight line, I'm going to answer a question from the chat by Kaika. Good morning. Well, good morning for you. It's the middle of the night for the Europeans. Was there a deterrent that made CT prefer the left monastery rather than the one with the corridor? I think the reason why Carmen Tang didn't go here is because he didn't want to need road tiles in both sides of the monastery. He thought that was too restrictive. But actually that wasn't too restrictive because there were many road tiles. The one way where I do understand him is that with only 2 starting tiles remaining, he did not want a sequence like this and to have 2 of his monasteries blocked. But even then, he could have evaluated that such a sequence would have been far-fetched, and the small risk would have absolutely been worth it. So Mr. Tang with a splitter. It's a roughly even game so far. Yeah, that's a good, strong move, trying to block his opponent. Daniel with the first monastery of his own. He can probably go for a, I'm going to say five-pointer, but this here move is much, much better. Daniel spotted this very well. Carmen now has the opportunity to go over here, and he really, really should. Yes, in the short term, it would give a meeple back for blue, but then it sets up so many tiles for that square that it will complete the monastery, and finally this road is also likely to be completed. Daniel's going to probably drop the first farmer of the game, although he chooses not to do so just yet, a bit contrary to his style. Carmen might be tempted to go over here. I would not do that. I would not do that as Carmen. I think the best thing that he can do is go over here. He finds that move. Daniel takes quick points. The position opens up. Daniel is ahead a lot of points. Carmen gets a curve, probably wants to continue his monastery. At least this is what I would do. Really needs some meeples back. There are 2 tiles that fit into the square, and I can even imagine a situation where red might be interested in going there. Crossroad tiles for Daniel. Getting to 16 points ahead. Curvy tile for Carmen, and he could, yes, he could just go here. I think I would not do that. I would rather wait for a crossroad tile. I would maybe go here and try to play against this monastery a little bit. Or ideally, I would dream of having an extra meeple, in which case I could afford to drop a farmer, but I don't have an extra meeple, so I'm not going to drop a farmer. Not exactly sure what to do here. Yeah, this move makes a lot of sense. Daniel could go over here to score 4 points, but it would give a meeple back to Carmen. So he's probably not going to do that. He can go here and maybe equalize this here guy. Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward tile. Normally it's a pretty good tile to start a farm with, but it just doesn't quite go anywhere without helping his opponent. I will just wait and see what Daniel does. Simply starting a new city, you know what? Makes sense. Carmen uses the tile as a blocking tile against the monastery of Daniel. Carmen now is going to finish his city and possibly even drop a farmer. Hugely important meeple for Carmen. Should he drop a farmer though? I think so. I think if we go here and and drop a farmer, of course we have to drop a farmer there. Daniel is actually getting quite fortunate. I mean, he's not getting access to this farm just yet, but he's just building up points. And look at this, he already drawn 3 of the tiles that red needed over here. And red just does not have that great of a tile at the moment. Maybe going here is an option, perhaps, with the idea that we could get a triple city tile and we could block the square and we could keep the majority of points in this here area. I think when we're down 20 points on the scoreboard, this is what we need. But no, he wastes a tile. He wastes a tile on blocking, which is like one heuristic that you should know. Look at these daggers here. This means there's only 1 tile remaining that fit into the square. If your opponent's monastery has this configuration where they need 1 particular tile and a couple of more squares, just don't do anything. Just like let them fight for the coin flip. If they get it, they get it. It's just like, it's so not worth it. Because, for example, a move that Daniel can play now, he can now go here and indirectly protect his monastery, and then he can try to draw. Yeah, exactly this. Exactly this is a beautiful farmer. And Carmen could be struggling here, although he does get a wonderful tile. Probably going to go here and drop a farmer. Yeah, he should drop a farmer. And then try to either score for this here city cap and connect through here, or to go here, claim this road, and connect through here. But the point being is that this farm of Daniel is currently the most valuable feature on the board. So Carmen is going to need to try to connect to it. Okay, he does get the farmer. That's a good decision here by Carmen. Daniel just can keep scoring. Well, he can't actually keep scoring. He can't really do nothing much. But you know what? One true thing that he can do is just go here. That would be quite cool. And that would be to starting to build barricades against this here red guy. Red could go here though, but Daniel could conceivably block this here square, and this is exactly what Daniel is trying to do. Carmen has a straight line. He's really struggling with tiles which are not particularly useful. Maybe just going here or here. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Trying to block. Daniel now is forced to finish his city instead of finishing this shared city over here. But actually, now that I think about this, he would have done this anyway. So Carmen, well, is he so bothered that he's going to go over here and block the square? Or will he actually be trying to gain value and recognize that he's down 18 points on the scoreboard, and will he go here instead? I hope he goes here instead. Yeah, this move makes a lot of sense. Daniel is not going to go over here. He's not interested in finishing this here city, I think. Just because he's not interested in a red entering this farm. Only 1 tile that fits into the square. It's actually quite brutal. Wait. When did that happen? Did red actually not use this tile over here? I am a little bit confused. I must have missed this moment, but of course it is unfortunate that the blue guy drew so much of those, but I don't know, maybe Carmen could have gotten his meeple back earlier. Do tell me in the chat about when exactly this move happened. Did Red already know that he needed this tile over here? Or was that a little bit earlier? Daniel is building barricades against his field. But now he's just going to score points. This is looking very, very good for Daniel for now. It's doable for Carmen. Like all he needs to do just like a couple of specific things. He needs ideally to get his meeple back. Maybe even getting this here field. Maybe he needs the vanilla city cap over here to try to invade the field like that. And or he could get the tile over here. That would finish the city for Daniel, but that would also finish his own monastery, and then he could try and penetrate through here. And then he could consider to maybe even dropping one more farmer here. So plenty of options. He goes for a 6-point monastery, which is also quite solid. There's a reasonable chance of completing that monastery. Daniel gets a monastery tile as well, cannot quite use it. He can go over here for a 6-point field. It seems to be something that's not quite worth it. He could go for a 5-point monastery instead, equalizing the 6-point guy, and maybe this is the way to go. It's not like Daniel really needs his meeples all that much. He's 22 points ahead, and a 5-point monastery is guaranteed to score. He will be building it up quite easily. He can put something over here, yeah. And this is exactly what happens. Scoring tile for Carmen. 3 very valuable points. Thank you, Hugo, for confirming that this here move was actually before here, so this move makes perfect sense. No egregious mistakes have been made. Yeah, Daniel's really trying to block the entrance of this here guy into the field. Carmen's building up his monastery, still has a chance to complete it. Scoring tile for Daniel, which is absolutely wonderful. He gets to go over here and also create an opportunity to maybe permanently block this square. Or Daniel could just go here, giving himself more castles into the field, but this move makes more sense because these are just immediate points. Finally, Carmen gets himself a monastery meeple. But what do you do here? Do you meeple this city and try to complete this somehow? I do not think it is possible. Well, it is theoretically possible, it's just quite unlikely. Do you drop a 6-point field? Or do you do nothing at all? And if you do nothing at all, what are you keeping your meeples for? I think I would have meepled something, at least this is my intuition. But CT now has a chance to meeple something else. Maybe he can go here and start a 6-point field here. And this field, of course, is much better than what he was going for before. He could also go here and try to finish the monastery, but you know what? He already has 2 meeples. He does not need more meeples to work with. He could also go here at the top and meeple a 7-point ruin. In the meantime, Daniel successfully invades on the left. These here meeples cancel each other out. Carmen is doing something, well, let's call it spectacular. Basically, Carmen is banking his game, banking his entire game on this here tile. He wants to get the tile in this area and penetrate the main field. He even starts a new city, possibly hoping to finish the city and drop a farmer. And I think the move for Daniel is to actually go here and meeple the road and spend his last meeple. I don't think Daniel needs the meeple. Yes, he's gonna do exactly this. Carmen, they're going to add points over here and renew the threat of completing the city. I know that this is what he's going to do. And he really needs the tile to fit into this square. Carmen gets to complete his city, and he's going to have a 6-point field for himself. Huge tile for the Hong Konger. He now can try and invade the field that way as well. 2-point difference on the scoreboard. Daniel probably going to go over here, probably going to seal the deal shut. But he doesn't have all that much to calculate. Maybe it's more precise to go over here instead. Who knows? I think Daniel can be safe in just getting 1 point because CT is not going to have enough time to get this, this, and this. I mean, CT, of course, is going to have 3 more moves, but how likely is that? So what can CT do? Maybe going here, picking up this city, maybe going over here, picking up this city, maybe going over here, picking up this road, I don't know. Maybe picking up this city is the way to go. Maybe going for this here farm is an opportunity. In any case, it looks like Carmen is going to need this tile that fit into this square. Because Daniel has a lot of points on this farm. A lot of points. I think if Carmen gets this here tile, he wins. So he needs to think of one way how he can win this game without the starting tile. He needs to try something else as well. Maybe this here move is not crazy. Okay, this is also not crazy. This is pretty good. This is really, really good. He's now trying to invade this field in a different way. And this is excellent. Because if I'm not mistaken, there's still 1 straight line remaining. So if Daniel goes here, this invasion could still work, and Carmen Tang successfully invades the 15-point field, which has now become the 18-point field. These farmers cancel each other out. All Hong Kong needs to do is just not lose on time. And if my calculations are correct, if they are correct, I believe that CT has done it. He has just like slightly more points for these smaller features. He has slightly more points for monasteries. And of course, he has 2 additional farmers, 1 for 6 points and 1 for 3. And there we go. 1 point win. 1 point win for CT. Isn't that beautiful? So you know what I'm thinking? I think that Daniel missed a win. All he had to do, instead of this move, all he had to do was just not block and go here and score 1 extra point. Had he scored 1 extra point, the score would have been 97-97. And that would have been a tie. And in the event of a tie, the win would have been awarded to Daniel because he was the second player. But, well, it's easier said than done. Try to calculate all that with 25 seconds remaining on the clock. Blocking is a natural instinct, so it is a very reasonable mistake to make. But it turns out that this mistake loses Daniel the game and possibly even loses Mexico the match. So I wonder if Sunny is still playing. Okay, Sunny also won against Pichan, and Hong Kong have won against Mexico, still having now good playoff chances to qualify. For Mexico, the chances are now looking pretty grim. Let's have a look at the tournament tables real quick. They're not going to be updated instantly. So Chile have been mathematically eliminated after losing 3 matches in 3 weeks. Very, very rough stuff for the rough start for the runners-up. Hong Kong still alive in this. Mexico 1 and 2, so not too bad. Hong Kong 2 and 3. In Group F, pretty much everybody is alive at the moment, so any of the teams would be capable to win the 2 remaining rounds. So a lot of clarity in Group F. We're not going to go into too much more details because all kind of scenarios are possible. 2 more rounds remaining in the group stage. Congratulations indeed to Hong Kong, and congratulations to Colombia as well, because it is so late in the night. We're going to skip the national anthem part, but because I do not want to get arrested if I start playing the piano right now. But next time when we're streaming in daylight, this should be more possible. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Just before wrapping up, I want to remind you to, first of all, meeple the like button. If you liked anything about this stream, it means a lot for the algorithm and for my feelings. More than y'all might think. If you want to follow this tournament further, make sure to subscribe for more competitive Carcassonne content like this, and click the bell notification icon. And in case you want to support this channel long term and have some additional perks to it as a thank you, then do explore the membership options. Then that's going to be it. Again, congratulations to Colombia and Hong Kong and all of y'all who have rooted for these teams. It has been a long stream. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I'ma see you soon.